This is the I Can Do Anything podcast. My name is Colin, and I haven't been with you in a while because I can do anything. I recorded an episode a couple weeks ago, and for whatever reason, the file, when I tried to bring it home, was like corrupt or something and didn't work. But other than that, I haven't recorded in quite some time, and for that, I apologize to my loyal fan base. This episode of the I Can Do Anything podcast is brought to you by Zit Remover. Many of us experience acne for at least a portion of our lives, whether you're just hitting puberty or you're well seasoned. It can be embarrassing and oftentimes painful. I myself have actually dealt with cystic acne since about my junior year of high school. After years of weekend-long AAU tournaments wearing the same jersey game after game and bad eating habits, my acne was out of control on my back and my neck. It was painful and just plain ugly. I avoided taking pictures and missed out on a lot of great moments with friends due to my insecurities. Thanks to Zit Remover, I don't have to worry about acne any longer. After just 3 months of once-a-day use, Zit Remover didn't just temporarily remove my acne, it abolished the bacteria from my body entirely. To receive a free trial bottle of Zit Remover, visit zitremover.com/anything and sign up to receive a free bottle of our best zit-removing cream, along with our special zit-removing scrubber, a scrubber that digs deep into the pores. You'll notice a significant improvement in your skin, and if you don't, your next bottle is free until you see the results. So visit our website at zitremover.com/anything for your free trial bottle today. This episode of the I Can Do Anything podcast is also brought to you by Standard Process. This episode, I just said that. Since 1929, Standard Process has been dedicated to the field of nutritional supplements and the whole food philosophy introduced by Dr. Royal Lee. With Standard Process supplements, you will discover just how resilient your body can be when given the proper nutrition. Standard Process supplements contain time-tested formulas with whole food ingredients that provide safe, effective, high-quality nutritional support available through healthcare professionals. Our products promote a better quality of life for our customers. My uncle owns his own chiropractic practice and is a supplier of Standard Process supplements, and throughout my life, they have worked miracles. After many different physical setbacks, I have sustained fractures, concussions, had infections, and much more. But each time, my uncle gives me different supplements to treat the problem. I have taken a whole range of supplements that Standard Process offers, like Adrenal Complex, Biost, Ostrophin, SP Cleanse, Thymex, AF Beta Food, Inositol, Catalin, Myotrophin, ribonucleic acid or RNA, and many more. Standard Process offers more than 300 supplements. These supplements essentially pack all the food that we would never eat in the quantities that our bodies need to function at a high level. Whether you're an athlete or a regular Jane Doe, Standard Process supplements have what you need. Okay, so last night was a pretty good slate of NBA games. The Thunder and the Thunder and the Timberwolves played a pretty great overtime game. Steven Adams inbounded the ball after Karl Anthony Towns made a free throw to go up by 2 for the Timberwolves with like 1.1 seconds left. Steven Adams threw the ball the length of the court, literally like a perfect baseball or football throw, the length of the court, to Dennis Schroeder, who laid the ball in at the buzzer. Really a beautifully executed play. I read an ESPN article about, I believe it was Shai Gilgeous-Alexander said that that's something that they practiced. That play specifically in that scenario is one that they practiced a lot leading up to the game, and probably likely before the season. It probably wasn't something that they practiced specifically for that game, but just something that they've worked on throughout the year thus far in practice, and the limited amount of practices that I'm sure that they've had. And that's cool to see something like that pay off. Chris Paul had 30 points in the win as I pull up the box score here. A season high for Chris Paul with his new team, the Thunder. Gilgeous-Alexander also had 29 points. There were some other pretty good close games. The Pistons and the Pacers was close. Blake Griffin had 25 points and hit a 3 in the last 40 seconds or so. to win that game. Andre Drummond had 25 points and 22 rebounds. The Warriors beat the Bulls in a battle of bottom feeders in the NBA. I believe those two are both in last place in their respective Eastern and Western conferences. I'm pretty sure the Warriors are last in the West. Yeah, the Warriors are last in the West, and the Knicks, Hawks, Cavs. The Bulls aren't totally bottom dwellers. Knicks, Hawks, Cavs, and Wizards are all below the Bulls. The Bulls are 11th. So actually really not that far out of playoff contention. Let's see, they're 12 games back from first place, and the 8th seed is 8.5 games back. So 3.5 games out of the playoffs actually isn't horrible for the Bulls. So seeing the Cleveland Cavaliers near the bottom of the Eastern Conference reminds me of a report that I got to my cell phone earlier this week about Cavs players being upset with their new coach, John Beilein, who came from the University of Michigan, and saying that he's treating the season and he's treating, he's got the coach's mindset from college and that he's treating them like college players. I don't know what the Cavaliers players expect. Like, I don't know. The Cavaliers don't have a terrible roster. Kevin Love is an all-star. Jordan Clarkson is I would say a legit scorer off the bench for a contending team. I mean, he was a couple of years ago when the Cavs had LeBron. I don't think he may have. He was kind of like throughout the season bounced in and out of the starting lineup, I believe. But in the playoffs, he very rarely played. So I don't know. I don't know. I guess Jordan Clarkson is like a fringe scorer off the bench for a contending team. So I don't know. The Cavs roster by no means is a good roster. But do those Cavs players expect to be winning? I don't know. Like, this is a fascinating thing that teams do. They expect to, in a lot of ways, a coach can change the culture of a program, but for the most part, especially in the NBA, you got to have good men. I mean, look at the Warriors right now. The Warriors, for years, a lot of players, most people understand that the Warriors were great because they had great players. Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, Draymond Green, Kevin Durant. And at the beginning of all that, Steve Kerr was getting a lot of praise for being a great coach. And he, rightfully so, a lot of times when that credit came to him, was he quickly denounced a lot of it. It was like, listen, I've got great players. It's really like the job that I've got right now is really not all that difficult. And now you see the Warriors, after last night's win, are 5-19 at the bottom of the Western Conference, and in the East, the Knicks are 4-18, so have a worse schedule, one less win and one less loss. And then the Hawks 5-17, same amount of wins, 2 less losses. So, the Warriors are definitely amongst the worst teams in the league right now, and that's because they lost a lot of really great players. The only one left of those 4 is Draymond. Steph and Klay are out with injuries, and Durant left. So, I don't know. Do the Cavs expect to be winning games with their new coach? Like John Beilein's just going to come in and fix the problem right away? I don't know. Like maybe they're just questioning his approach to the game. They're saying it was an anonymous Cavs player that was quoted in this article saying that they're going more so to J.B. Bickerstaff, who has been a head coach in the NBA. In his past, John Beilein's been a college coach for most of his career. Most of his long, really great coaching career has been in college basketball. But they're going to J.B. Bickerstaff for leadership because he has NBA experience. I don't know. Do these Cavs players really think that they're going to be winning games? Same goes for the Knicks management. Did you really think? Do you really think that firing Fizdale is going to solve the problem? You think because you have Coach Fizdale, that's the reason you're 4-18? It's probably more so due to the fact that you couldn't get Kyrie and Kevin Durant. Not that I don't think Kyrie would. If Kyrie would have been playing this season, the Nets are 12-10. In the last, even since I recorded the last podcast, which I believe the one that the audio was corrupt. The only reason it was corrupt is because at the studio when I recorded it, I switched it from a WAV file to an MP3 file, and for whatever reason that fucked with it. So at the end of this podcast, I am going to tack on that audio as well. So you will hear what I'm saying, what I'm a little bit more in depth about what I'm about to talk about with Kyrie and the Nets. They're 12-10. He's missed a lot of games, even since I recorded that last podcast a couple of weeks ago that never aired and will air now in this episode. I don't think he's played since then. And they went from, I believe, like 9th or 10th in the East, which really isn't separated by a ton of games. 10th is 11.5 games back from first, and 7th is 7.5 games back. So roughly, the 9 seed is 11 games back. So roughly 4 to 3 games that they've improved. But, 4 to 3 games in the grand scheme of things, when it comes down to it at the end of the regular season, that can determine a lot. That determines, could determine whether you're a 2 or a 6 seed, especially in the West, but in the East right now, the 2 seed is 3 games back from the 1 seed Milwaukee Bucks, and 1.5 games back is the 5 seed, the 76ers. So, matchups are everything in the NBA, and whether you're a 2 seed or a 5 seed makes a really, really big difference. That's, the difference of seeing the Bucks in the Eastern Conference Finals or seeing them in the second round, and the Bucks look really damn good right now after really not making a whole lot of adjustments in the offseason. They really just all they did was really lose players. They lost Malcolm Brogdon. They gained a Lopez brother and maybe a couple other guys, but they really, I don't know. The Bucks look really damn good at 20-3. The Lakers in the Western Conference look really damn good as well at 20-3 after blowing out the Portland Trailblazers last night. There's a lot's been made about the Lakers having the most difficult schedule of any team in the NBA for the month of December. And all the Lakers have done in the month of December is go undefeated. They lost their first game on I believe that was last Sunday to the Mavs, and that ended I want to say it was a 10 or 11 game win streak at that point. That game was at home. The win against Portland last night made it 14 straight road wins. But other than that, they lost to the Mavs, and then the next Tuesday beat the Nuggets in a really good game. LeBron had 25 and 9, Anthony Davis 25 and 10, and then on Wednesday Thursday. No, was it Wednesday? It had to have been Wednesday. Oh, yeah. Wednesday, 121-96 over the Utah Jazz. LeBron had 20 and 12. Anthony Davis, 26 and 6. So, yeah, this is exactly the start that the Lakers hope for. They look really fucking good. And the Clippers lost last night to the Bucks. That's really, I don't know. They didn't play well. The Clippers didn't play well at all, but losing to the tied for first team in the NBA isn't really, when it comes down to it, they're going to want to be able to beat the Bucks because I don't know. I don't know who will come out of the East. The Bucks look really good right now, and Kawhi Leonard and LeBron James aren't in the East, and Giannis certainly looks like the best player in the East and one of the best players in the NBA. The other three, I would say that the MVP race right now is a three-man race. I've stopped doing the MVP matrix. I believe I also explained that in the additional episode that's going to be tacked on to the end of this, why I'm not doing the MVP matrix. But I believe the MVP race right now is pretty much a three-man race. Maybe you could make it a four-man race. People have certainly been talking about Luka Doncic being a MVP candidate, and he has been playing so fucking great. But right now it's pretty much LeBron, Harden, and Antetokounmpo. I would probably, as a LeBron fan, give the edge to LeBron right now, just because, based on MVP matrix principles, I think he affects the game in a lot more ways and is just better on the overall culture of winning than James Harden is. His team is playing a lot better right now than James Harden's team is. The Lakers have been in first place pretty much the entire season, with the exception of after game one, their loss to the Clippers. They went on a long win streak, winning like 8 or 9 in a row. But the Mavericks are in second place in the West, led by a second-year Luka Doncic, who's pretty much averaging, if not, I think he is averaging a triple-double. So I would right now give the edge. Actually, I'm not going to give Luka the edge over James Harden, because what James Harden is doing right now, scoring wise, and he has the Rockets in fifth place. They're still only, they're five games back from first, but they're only one game back from second. So all it would take was the Mavs, Nuggets, and Clippers losing a game and the Rockets winning a game, and they'd be in second place. So I would probably say LeBron, then Harden, then Antetokounmpo, or maybe LeBron, Antetokounmpo, then Harden, and then Doncic. But in the loss last night, the Clippers to the Bucks, Kawhi didn't play very well. I think he finished with 17 as I pull up the box score from last night. So Antetokounmpo finished with 27 points and 11 rebounds on his 25th birthday. Anytime that I see guys who I know are like about my age, it's kind of depressing. And that Antetokounmpo looks like a grown fucking man. I mean, I guess 25 is a grown man. That's when your brain's fully developed anyways. So, but yeah, Antetokounmpo had 27 points, 11 rebounds on his 25th birthday, shot 55% from the field, 66% from the free throw line, 11 rebounds, 4 assists, 4 turnovers, no steals, no blocks, was +7. Eric Bledsoe had 28 points. And then they got 15 off the bench from DiVincenzo. Pat Connaughton had 35. Wow. How come that's not talked about? It's just the headline is that Antetokounmpo scored 27 on his 25th birthday, but Pat Connaughton, that's probably a career high for Pat. Oh wait, he's +35, 13 points. Oh, that's why. Eric Bledsoe, I was looking because on when you're on ESPN's box scores, which I was this morning when I was doing the sports recaps from last night. As I was doing the NBA, I was looking at ESPN's box scores as I wrote my stories, and their points are on the far right side. But on NBA.com, the points are on the far left side. So I was just looking at the plus minus when I said Eric Bledsoe's points. He only had 10 points. Pat Connaughton only had 13. DiVincenzo had 11, and Ilyasova had 13 off the bench for the Bucks. On the other side of the ball, as I reacclimate to the NBA website, which is the one that I'm normally on, Kawhi Leonard had 17 points on 35.7% shooting from the field. That's pretty low, I would say, for his season average in field goal percentage. 1 of 2 from 3, 50% from 3, 4 assists, 5 rebounds, 5 turnovers is far too many for him. 2 steals, 2 blocks, was -18 in plus minus. Every single one of their players, except for the guys that played in garbage time, Terrence Mann played 10 minutes. Derek Walton Jr. played 9 minutes. And whoa, that's a crazy African name. Mfiondu Kabengele. Mfiondu Kabengele. They all played in garbage time and had 2, 3, and 5 points and were plus 3, 4, and 6. So, the Clippers won garbage time. But other than that, all of their players that played were negative in plus minus. So an all-around rout for the Bucks over the Clippers, who, if I go back to the standings, have started out with that win over the Lakers, and that certainly caught a lot of people's attention that they won game 1 without Paul George. But they're in 4th place, 1 game. Well, how does that work? The Clippers are in 4th place, and they're 4 games back from 1st place. The Nuggets are 4.5 games back of 1st place, and they're 3rd. And then the Mavs are 4 games back of 1st place, and they're 2nd. Seems like the Nuggets should be 4th and the Clippers should be 3rd, but I don't know. In terms of, the overall standings, the Clippers are not in bad shape whatsoever. The West is really fucking close. The Lakers are 4 games ahead of 2nd place, but then 4, 4.5, 4, 5, and then 5th and 6th are separated by 2.5 points. The Jazz and Suns at 6. The Suns are 7th? Holy shit. I really haven't watched any Suns games, and they're in the playoffs. Interesting. I think that's largely because, number one, the Blazers have been playing pretty terrible. The Warriors are horrible. The Pelicans have not. The Pelicans don't have Zion, and that was a large part. That was a large factor into why a lot of people, myself included, thought the Pelicans may have a really great year, and Zion has missed a lot of time. And I saw a report earlier this week that timetable is still current, and that he may even miss a little bit more than 6 to 8 weeks. Let me see. Look at a calendar. When that injury was announced, let's just say it was 6 to 8 weeks from the beginning of the season, which started on, I believe, October 15th was the first game of the season. Or maybe it was October 22. I think it was October 22 that was the first game of the season. So week 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So right now we're in week 7 of that timetable. So we could see Zion back maybe at the end of December. But that would certainly be great for the NBA. But I think the Suns being 7th right now is largely due to the Thunder also losing Russell Westbrook and being a little bit down, although the Thunder in a lot of ways are overachieving. The Spurs are certainly underachieving. I thought that they'd have a lot better of a season thus far with getting DeJounte Murray back. But they've been pretty underwhelming. DeMar DeRozan hasn't played nearly as well as he played last season. The Kings in 12th place are not playing nearly as well as they did last year. Last year they were very young, and they still are very young. Last year, in a lot of ways, I think was kind of a fluke. I don't think the Kings. I just don't see the Kings having a really great year. I just don't see them recovering, I guess is what I'm saying. The Trailblazers, after signing Carmelo Anthony, this whole thing, credit to Andrew Schultz, the fucking boy, Andrew Schultz. The NBA gives Carmelo Anthony Player of the Week in a week where Luka Doncic averages a triple-double and Anthony Davis and LeBron James play really great basketball. It's just a PR stunt that Carmelo Anthony won Player of the Week, and he did play well. I mean, he had a pretty good average in points and rebounds during that week in like maybe 3 games or something like that, but played like shit for the most part in his first 2 games with the Blazers and then picked it up in the next 3 or 4. But last night against the Lakers, I don't think he played horrible. I mean, the Lakers just played really well. And the Lakers really actually didn't, as a team, even play very well. LeBron and Anthony Davis had 31 and 39. They combined for 70 points together. Anthony Davis had 39. LeBron had 31. But other than that, like they didn't really get a ton of productivity. I think it was the productivity like in scoring was spread around pretty well. Kyle Kuzma had 15 off the bench. JaVale McGee had 13. Danny Green only had 3. Caldwell Pope only had 5. So total, they only got 21 points from the rest of their starters. So their starters combined for, what would that be, 91 points. And then they got 6 from Rondo off the bench, 15 from Kuzma off the bench, 9 from Troy Daniels. Caruso had 8. Dwight Howard had 5. Quinn Cook had 2. All of their players were the exact opposite of the Clippers. Every single one of the Laker players that played, except for Quinn Cook, who was even in plus minus, all of them were positive in plus minus, led by LeBron James, who was plus 21, had 31 points on 47.8 shooting from the field, 4 of 9 from 3, 44.4% from 3, 71.4% from the free throw line. That's something that I wanted to monitor throughout the season. His free throw percentage has certainly dropped since the very beginning of the season, as predicted, but it's not where I wish it was. He finished with 7 rebounds and 8 assists. So let's look at LeBron's free throw percentage for the season, if I may. He's shooting, that's career. Take me to stats. 2019 free throw percentage 70.1. So yeah, it's definitely dropped. At the beginning of the season, it was like up in the 80s, like mid 80s. And now last year it was, last year it was 66.5%. They've got this separated by year. So 2019, 2018, 2017, instead of saying like by, the 18-19 season and the 19-20 season. So that's a little confusing. But yeah, his free throw percentage has certainly tapered off and dropped back down to more about what his career free throw average is, which is 7. This season it's 70.1. His career is 73.6. So it's dropped below his career free throw average. But they're winning games. It hasn't cost them any games so far this season. So not something to scoff at necessarily. LeBron's playing really damn well, and averaging, I believe he is still averaging a triple-double this season. That's not going to tell me. Okay, yeah. Minutes per game, 34.7. Field goal percentage, 49.7, which is pretty damn good. Three-point percentage, 34.1. Points per game, 25.6. Rebounds per game, 7. Assists per game, 10.7. That rebounds has dropped. A couple weeks ago, he was averaging like 11 rebounds per game, I think. But that's dropped back to a lot more pedestrian numbers. His career average for rebounds per game is 7.4, so just slightly below that. But LeBron is averaging a near triple-double. Let's go to Doncic's stats for the season. I believe he is averaging a triple-double. And I don't know if he's won any player of the weeks. That Carmelo Anthony thing is just ridiculous. I didn't really realize it until my fucking boy Schultze pointed it out on the Flagrant 2 podcast. But 30.3 points per game. Holy shit. 30.3 points per game. 10.1 rebounds per game and 9.2 assists per game. Good for Luka. Holy shit. Luka has the fucking. I mean, he's gotten a lot of help from Porzingis, who actually. I mean, I say a lot of help, but Porzingis really hasn't been like he was before the injury with the Knicks. His career points per game is 17.7. He's just under that at 16.8 this season. Career rebounds per game is 7.3. He's above that at 8.9, and then his assists per game 1.2 is pretty much his average. Blocks per game 2.2 is 0.2 above his career average in blocks per game of 2. But let's see. So his last season in 2017 with the Knicks. Oh, this isn't going to tell me averages. It's going to tell me totals. Anyways, yeah, Porzingis has, certainly added a lot to, he's a large reason as, Luka's playing a lot better than he was last year. Although at about this time last year, Luka was the unanimous Rookie of the Year and did end up winning Rookie of the Year, but certainly tapered off quite a bit in the last half of the season. But Luka wasn't playing this well last season, and adding Porzingis' productivity has certainly helped the Mavs out quite a bit in the standings. I think that's about all I got today for the I Can Do Anything podcast, a podcast also brought to you by Slump. Slump by Dave Jarzina. Jarzina's debut novel is the tale of a 13-year-old named Mitchie Evers. He's at odds with every single person in his life. His friends, even old reliable best buddy Sammy, no longer appreciate Mitchie's sparkling wit. His parents are so busy gushing over his perfect older brother that they don't have time for Mitchie. One by one, he alienates his best friend, family, teachers, and former soccer coach with his bullheadedness and his inappropriate and ill-timed sense of humor. With his penchant for hurting and insulting people, Mitchie makes a convincing jerk. Mitchie knows he's a little too young to be in a serious slump, but what can he do about it? Find out by purchasing the book that countless readers recommend anywhere that you buy books, whether it be Barnes & Nobles, Amazon, Audible, Apple Books, Google Play, and more. That's Slump by my good old boss, Dave Jarzina. Thank you for listening to the I Can Do Anything podcast. Enjoy Bill Burr style, a little bit of music as we transition into a previously recorded episode, unreleased episode from a couple weeks ago of the I Can Do Anything podcast. This is the I Can Do Anything podcast. My name is Colin. Today I'm talking about NBA basketball. I've missed several weeks. I've been very busy the last few weeks. Had very far and few between evenings where I can sit in a room and talk to myself about sports. A lot's been going on in the NBA. I want to start with the standings. The Lakers, after a good win last night against the Thunder, a game that didn't consist of a ton of defense, but really great offense. The Lakers had several big leads, or not big leads, but sizable leads. They're up 9 at one point, up 13 in another period in the game, and it came down to like a 3-point game-ish or so for the last probably 2 or 3 minutes. Ended up winning against the Thunder last night. So the Lakers are now 13-2 overall. They have the best record in the league, followed by the Bucks, who are 12-3, Denver, who is 11-3. Boston has dropped over the last week to 11-4. They were first in the league, I think, even at this point last week. But it's just they're only a game back on Milwaukee. Miami is a half game back on Milwaukee at the 2 seed. Wow. I haven't looked at the standings in a couple of days, but even when I looked at them a couple of days ago, I had no idea Miami was up there. Brooklyn is a 7 seed. Brooklyn was out of the playoffs earlier this week, and won a couple of games this week without Kyrie, actually. So they were out of the playoffs early this week, and then since Kyrie's injury. I don't know when that was, but Kyrie has been out the last several games. Kyrie Irving shoulder to miss next 3 games. I think that just recently happened, actually. Because I played in an NBA 2K tournament sponsored by Trine University's sports management major, in conjunction with esports, and one of the kids picked the Brooklyn Nets without realizing that Kyrie wasn't playing because the rosters were up to date. They let him change his team because, that's without Durant playing. Even I found out the hard way, but even just having one player who can score and handle the ball in 2K can get you a win. The tournament that I played in, you did 3 randoms, and you got to pick from the 3 randoms when selecting a team, and you could use a suicide if you didn't like any of your 3 teams. And the team I played, I was the Timberwolves in my second game of the tournament. I won the first game with the 76ers, and then the second game I was the T-Wolves against the Hawks, and Trae Young killed me. All you got to do is have one guy that can shoot and handle the ball, and somebody to get some rebounds. But really, 2K is all about being able to shoot, and I found that out the hard way. So Kyrie has been out. Kyrie has already missed 4 games due to a shoulder impingement. The Brooklyn Nets announced after Friday's 116-97 victory over Sacramento that Kyrie would miss the team's forthcoming road trip, a 3-game swing through New York, Cleveland, and Boston. The lead guard has missed the team's 4 previous games with a shoulder impingement believed to be suffered during their November 12 loss to Denver. Kyrie, who left the Celtics as a free agent this summer, is averaging 28.5 points per game, 5.4 rebounds, and 7.2 assists, while shooting 44.4% overall and 34.1% from three-point range in 33.8 minutes per game. The Nets were... I don't remember what the seeding was, but I know that at the beginning of this week they were out of the playoffs. And since Kyrie's been gone, I guess what I'm trying to say is that Kyrie continues to... I don't know if Kyrie continues to, but the world continues to show us and Kyrie that, I don't know, maybe he's not that important when it comes down to winning. Let's look at the schedule and see if Brooklyn has lost. So he's missed their 4 previous games. Am I in schedule or scores? So they won last night, the game I just talked about, over the Kings, and they won 101-91 on Wednesday over the Hornets, and they lost 86-115 to the Pacers on Monday. And Saturday, I think they played on last Saturday. They won 117-111 over the Bulls. All teams that they beat aren't necessarily good teams by any stretch of the imagination. I won't harp on the Kyrie thing too much. James Harden's been playing well, and Houston is, I believe... I know they were a 2 seed earlier in the West. They've dropped to the 3 seed after the Nuggets won last night, I believe, over the Celtics. It looks like Kemba Walker in that game suffered a head injury, is reported to be out with concussion-like symptoms. 96-92 last night, Nuggets over the Celtics. That propelled the Nuggets into the 2 spot in the West. I don't know when that was in the game, but Jaylen Brown finished with 22, Tatum 16. It must have been early. Kemba only played 12 minutes, had no points, 3 field goal attempts. Yeah, that must have been pretty early on in the game. Marcus Smart finished with 15. And then for the Nuggets, low-scoring game, but Will Barton 15, Paul Millsap 14, Jokic 18, had 16 rebounds and 10 assists, a triple-double for Jokic. Gary Harris finished with 9. Jamal Murray had 22 points in 38 minutes. So Denver started off a little slow this season, but it seems like it's come back around a little bit. Potentially a NBA or a Western Conference Finals preview happened last night, or at least a really great playoff matchup last night between the Clippers and the Rockets. The Clippers won 122-119. I'm at the radio station now and just finished up watching the Lakers and the Thunder game from last night. I'm going to go home and watch this Clippers-Rockets game. Looks like it was a really great one. I'm not sure where it was. I think it was in L.A. Russell Westbrook finished with 22 points on 40.9% shooting, 9 of 22 from the field, 1 of 7, 14.3% from 3. Why the fuck does he take so many threes? 6 assists, 5 rebounds. Harden finished with 37 on 56.2% shooting from the field, 45.5% from 3, 12 assists, 8 rebounds, 17 from Clint Capella. PJ Tucker added 8. Austin Rivers 10 off the bench. Cephalosha 8 off the bench. And for the Clippers, 24 from Kawhi on 56.2% shooting from the field, 2 of 5 from 3, 40% from 3. 6 rebounds, 3 assists, 3 steals for Kawhi. I believe this was the second game that Kawhi and Paul George played together. Paul George finished with 19. Shot the ball pretty bad, though, 26.7% from the field, 30% from 3, 3 of 10 from 3 for Paul George, 8 rebounds, 7 assists, 2 steals. Patrick Beverley had 6 in 19 minutes. Lou Williams had 26 off the bench. Montrezl Harrell had 18 off the bench. Yeah, that's a game that I'm going to go back and watch just from the NBA.com photo from that game on the homepage. It looked like it was a pretty good game. The final score certainly indicates that as well. The Mavericks blew the Cavs out last night, 143-109. Doncic, who looks like Doncic, he's been fucking great this year. Doncic is an MVP candidate this year without question. 30 points, 14 assists, 7 rebounds for Doncic. I'm not going to go into that one too much because it was a pretty bad blowout. The Jazz beat the Warriors last night, 113-109. Gobert had 19 rebounds. Mitchell had 30 points. I'm not going to pick through all these games because I've missed a couple weeks, and I'm not just going to go back through each and every day. Some other NBA headlines: Carmelo Anthony signs with the Blazers. I don't know. The Blazers in the standings aren't even in the playoffs right now and are pretty far back in the Western Conference. They're 13th in the Western Conference, 5-11 right now. Only the Spurs and the Warriors are behind them. Can you believe it? The Warriors are fucking last. The Warriors are last in the West, 3-14, with a .176 win percentage, and the Hawks are last in the Eastern Conference, and their win percentage is .267. The Warriors are the worst team in the NBA. It's fascinating. I don't know that that's ever going to get old this year. So, but yeah, the Trailblazers aren't by any stretch of the imagination having a good year after losing or getting swept by the Warriors last year in the Western Conference Finals. I don't know. It seems like that loss kind of I don't know. I don't know what's wrong with the Blazers. It's not like Lillard and McCollum aren't playing well. I mean, they're still Lillard and McCollum. Lillard's probably not having as good of a year out of the gate as certainly he would have hoped for, just in terms of the Blazers' success or what his production means to the Blazers' success. But I just think they lost too many pieces in that Whiteside trade, and I don't think Carmelo Anthony is going to help. I mean, at this point, it doesn't really hurt. It's already a pretty bad season thus far. I mean, it's not too early to pull out of it. So maybe I would have held out a little longer on the Carmelo Anthony thing. Maybe they got wind that Carmelo was coming close to signing with somebody else and they didn't want to lose him. But I don't know. I don't think Carmelo Anthony is somebody that you need to rush to sign, especially at this point in his career. I would have probably held out a little longer, maybe 20 more games, and if you're still towards the back end of the Western Conference, then maybe you make a push to get Melo and hopefully make a I don't know. I just it's a weird signing in my opinion. I just don't know. I don't know. I guess at this point, if it were 15 to 20 games from now, I would like it a little better, because at that point it was like, okay, the Western Conference is really damn good. We're already pretty far behind. Let's sign Carmelo. Worst case scenario, we still are in 13th in the West. Best case scenario, Carmelo Anthony has some ungodly resurgence, and we create just another NBA storyline that draws attention to the Blazers, and we move up in the polls and all that, and have a great season thanks to signing Carmelo Anthony. It'd just be a great NBA story. So I don't know. I thought it was a little early, but we'll see how it turns out. I think they lost their first 2 games with him. I know they lost their first game when he played against the Pelicans. He had like 10 points or something. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. The Carmelo Anthony thing is a funny one. Yeah, I don't know if I got anything else. The Lakers are playing really well. The NBA season is fucking great so far. It's been really fun to watch LeBron and Anthony Davis play together. Their offense is clicking on all cylinders. It's so much fun to watch. This may be the shortest episode ever of the I Can Do Anything podcast. I want to address the MVP matrix thing. I know that none of you care and that nobody's checking for the MVP matrix, but I just don't have time to do it. It gives me a really bad headache and takes like 2 or 3 hours to make. It's so much like squinting and looking. I don't know. It's just too much Excel spreadsheet work for me. It's not what I enjoy doing. If I wanted to look at Excel spreadsheets for hours on end, I'd be an accountant or something like that. But yeah, the MVP, it's something that I really wish, because I think is really dynamic and I think it adds a lot to this podcast, but it's just not worth my time and it consumes too much of my time. I am really fucking busy at work right now. I've been cranking videos out like a madman for athletics and for admissions and for student success and retention, and I'm working on our Thanksgiving video now and am just wrapping up. Over the last 2 weeks, I have been batshit crazy busy preparing all this video board stuff for the MTI Center. Just wrapped up most of that stuff. Some of it's ongoing stuff that I'll have to continue to produce, stuff that I've already shot, but I'm going to have to just continue to edit stuff through the season. But the bulk of the stuff that I've prepared for the entire season is pretty much behind me now. So that took up a lot of my time and was very tedious, very long edit sessions. But yeah, the MVP matrix just takes up too much time and I don't have enough of it. And when I do get some downtime, I'd rather go home and watch the NBA or hang out with my girl and watch the NBA or fucking go to sleep. So the MVP matrix, until I can find a fucking intern to do it for me, is I think it's pretty much dead. It's unfortunate. Because when I decided that I was going to stop doing it, I don't know that I really decided that I was going to stop doing it, but it almost feels like a beginning to the end of this podcast, and I really don't want that to happen at all. I don't think it's going to. I just think that it may be a little less frequently, and that's okay. It's only 7 of you anyways. Why do I harp every week on the lack of listenership to this podcast. That's not what maybe it is what I'm doing it for. Maybe I'm just trying to convince myself that I'm not doing it for views and for listens. But really deep down, that's what it's all about. I don't know. I think I continue to do this so that like 10 years from now, when I'm a lot more successful than I currently am, or when I'm a lot more when I'm to a level of success in this business that I want to be, I can look back and like talk in interviews and things like that about like, yeah, I was just doing a fucking podcast by myself that nobody fucking listened to for years until people finally started to pay attention. I don't know how that will manifest itself, or how that will develop, or where my life's going to go and where my media career is going to go. Yeah, I have no idea. But that's the goal, is that I can have a really funny story to tell in interviews someday. It's like, yeah, I was just doing a fucking podcast about the NBA, talking to myself for years without anybody really listening. I think that'll be cool. I do. Okay, thanks for listening to the I Can Do Anything podcast. Have a great weekend. I got I guess it's not over, folks. I'm going to keep talking. I've got 2 Trine men's basketball games to work today and tomorrow, as the men have their first 2 home games of the season. I just shot last night, or yesterday afternoon, I guess. Went to the men's basketball practice and did another mic'd up with head coach Brooks Miller. He had some kind words for me to the team at the end of practice, which was cool. In the middle of it, I was like, this is way too much attention. He was giving me way too much credit. And just way too much attention, and too many eyes and people listening and looking at me. While it was happening, part of me was thinking, oh, this is nice. And another part of me was like, oh, this is way too many people looking at me and listening to somebody talk about me. I don't think I got red in the face, but then another part of me was like, Brooks is just fucking sucking up to me so that I'll keep doing videos for him. But yeah, I don't know. It's cool to get recognition for. I've done a lot of work for the men's basketball program over the years, and it's certainly declined. When I was working for the men's basketball program as a student, I was doing, videos for every game and all access stuff all the time. So I don't get to do it as much as I wish I could. I wish that my full-time job I wish that I just did video for the basketball program as a full-time job. That would be really fucking cool if I could dedicate all my time to all access pieces and, human interest pieces, and making highlight videos and content just solely for basketball. I think that would be really fucking cool. But unfortunately, I don't know. It's not unfortunate. I get to do a wide variety of different kind of projects, so I'm grateful for that. We just did a cool Thanksgiving video that I'll finish at the beginning of next week, right before Thanksgiving. I've just been feeling, as Thanksgiving rolls around, pretty grateful for being really fucking busy at work. But I've been getting, ever since about homecoming, as I was editing all of the homecoming videos, something I was talking about on the podcast then, but I've been really creative a lot ever since then, and it's something I've been pushing myself to do every day, is to, even if it takes a little longer to produce a video, is to be creative. And even if I'm creating myself a little extra work, I'm trying to just be creative to keep that creative spark going. I was actually watching some of my old Solo Colo videos and looking through some of the footage that I've got shot that I haven't edited. I've got maybe 3 or 4 episodes that I shot right before my elbow injury a little over 2 years ago, that led to me stopping Solo Colo. That was really kind of what ended it, was the shoulder injury, or my elbow injury. But I was watching some old videos and thinking, fuck, I kind of want to do these again. It's a lot of extra work. I don't even have time to put together an MVP matrix, let alone shoot and edit a weekly video blog, and video blogs at this point, I don't know. It seems like when I started doing it in 2016, I was already kind of following a trend. At this point, video blogs are way too fucking mainstream for my liking. But yeah, I'm just trying to be creative every day at my work, and it's led to me really, like, over the last month and a half or so, really actually, like, thoroughly enjoying what I'm doing. So that's really gratifying and really rewarding. Yeah, thanks for listening to the I Can Do Anything podcast. Peace.